Well guys, good morning, and it's been a while since we've done a video. We went away on a bit of a vacation for a disc golf trip. Coming back, waiting for my buddy now to come over and have a nice coffee. We're gonna film a nice little box to take home with him, and they're gonna make a dry spice. You guys seen us make our dry spice before. This time it's gonna be a little different. Obviously there's no tomatoes like we had last year. We had them cherry tomatoes almost growing up over the greenhouse there, if you remember. Did really well. This year's spice is gonna be a little different. We're gonna toss it on some chicken at the end. So stay tuned guys, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell if you haven't. And there's Millie. She's now roaming around. She's off her leash. It's pretty good getting the squirrels out of here. She's doing her job, so let's go. Alright guys, here we are in the garden getting a box for my buddy here. What do we got so far in the box? A little bit of mint, some basil, and we're stealing strawberries too. We're going to use the pitchfork so we're not cutting into them as much. Well, see a few little babers. There's the original one, look at that. There's some off of it. I'm sure there's lots deeper. Look at that. They're not yours, Millie. I'm gonna say they're not quite ready because you want them to die and almost die off and fall over, but look at Millie. Some onions, potatoes. Remember, we had an onion all on the outside. Loosen that soil. Only onion. Well, we did pretty good. Got some onions. We need to get ourselves a nice little basket for harvesting. We got our peppers in these cups and some of our dwarf tomatoes, and we don't add nutrients. So it's all what's taken out of the soil. Near the end of the year, we start to do our worm teas, worm casting teas you can do, or compost teas. Go back and check out one of our videos. I'll drop a link for that. The worm casting one's a fun one to do out in the shade somewhere. All you need really is a fish bubbler, a bucket, some worm castings, and then you want to basically have your sugars that are for your what you're creating in your bucket. So we use a molasses to get those sugars, but it's pretty simple. You don't have to heavy feed things really, especially up here in Canada. We end up having our winters, and I believe it gets that break. So all of our dwarf tomatoes, the dwarfs really do love being in a smaller pot if you can. We do them in the cups. That's really fun to do this year. We've collected a bunch from Garden State Gardener. Most of our tomatoes, peppers are all basically either Garden State Gardener or meeting through Garden State Gardener, new awesome friends. So we love growing stuff that people want to throw us seeds and try it here. We got our awesome, those Mongolian moon ones that are yellow. Those have been really delicious. So we're excited to make a little garden spice today. Let's get busy here. Definitely getting some of these. Alright, so we're going to take some of the chocolate mint there. We got some basil here. Definitely have to get some sage. We're going to go looking for some onions, some of the green onions. Have a look at that. Let's turn it around here. It's got more hair than I do. That's a chunk of onions, all in one. Let's go. Everything's looking so beautiful. Hey, look. Alright, so this is what I call green onions. We separated that big chunk. Now this is huge. We're going to cut these up, clean them up, get the better pieces of the greens too. The tips won't be very good. They're starting to die off. That's normally when I pick them out. So let's get them cut up. So we just cut the tips off, and in most cases I'm going to find that outer skin, that outer layer, and pull that one off, and I'll end up throwing that one away probably. But then that inner one, and then this one will be nicer. All this stuff and this stuff. Just going to cut the tips off here. Just like that, we got our onions and beans. Now the basil's next. Alright, so we're starting off something like this, and we're just going through and picking off individual leaves. If I can, I'm snapping them off with my finger right about there to not have that hardy stick. That's the basil. Time for the chocolate mint. We're going to only do a little bit of that. And for the mint and sage, we're going to do the same thing. Make sure we're pulling it off at the leaves and not getting any stem. Since we're making our dry spice, normally you would cure a potato, like you cure your onions, somewhere in a shed, warm with a nice good fan blowing on it. But we're not going to. We just peeled the outer layer and we're ready to cut it up now. Alright, well you've seen it before when we made our homemade teas from fruit and stuff out of the garden. And we did make a garden spice I think it was last year we did one. This one's going to be really fun. A couple different things that we ended up putting in it from the garden this year. And the spice shakers are quite expensive, you know. This is $4, something like that, to get at the store. When you can just make your own, really simple. You want to sweeten it up a bit, you can take some fruit to do that. Spice it up with some hot peppers, #summer heat. And yeah, it's quite simple to do that. And we're going to make a quick little meal and rub this spice on it. Got our blender here and we're ready to mix. This is the one we use for our summer heat spice and all our other stuff. The kit for when you buy these bullets end up coming with a whole bunch of these. So I'm just dedicating one to what I do with it. And the rest of the family makes shakes with the other ones. Well, let's get this chopped up. We might have to put a bit of it into it, turn it so we break it down, and then we're going to shove the rest of it in it. Time to get blending. Alright, so that's the whole thing. Look how white that is from the onions. So awesome. We're going to give it a couple taps, wait a couple seconds for it to be done. Making all that dust, and we're going to put the rest into it so we get an even mix. Alright, last mix. Alright. Beautiful spice. You could smell it as soon as we started zipping it up. Don't got me a funnel, so this is what we're going to do. Now this is no salt added. You're going to get a lot of good flavor from your onions and everything else, so it's really unnecessary, and you can salt your dishes to however you like it. I like my seasoning not being too salty. So as simple as that, going out to your garden and grabbing the spices you have too much of, tossing them in your dehydrator, and then buying yourself a nice little blender or one of these. There's a few different names for them, the ninjas, bullets, different names like that. But if you want to go out and buy yourself spices, or you can easily make it out of your backyard. So check out some of our other videos where we do some of our other garden spice. It's normally what we have. So last time it was very much red because of so much tomatoes and the peppers that we put in it. But this one is very yellow, and I believe it's due to all the onions and the beans as filler. The kids were eating the beans and then chunks of the onions and tomatoes before I even got a chance to get it zipped up here. So they're loving it. I know they're going to love this spice, and I know you'll love yours too. All that hard work growing something, and you put it into a nice little spice where you can share a nice flavorful dinner with someone. Gotta love it. So take care, guys. Smash that like button. Canadian proud, get outdoors. Chicken dinner. Got the rice going and some vegetables.